Hello, beautiful people. It's Sindafam. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're back again with another video. This is from Candace Owens, and this is about Shannon Sharpe, which is quite interesting. We're going to check it together, and I would love your thoughts and your contribution in the comments below. Let's dive right in.
Okay, so we have to start with the obvious here, and the obvious is that Granddad is nasty. Who am I talking about? I'm speaking about Shannon Sharpe. Like I said, in case you're not familiar with him, he is first and foremost a literal grandfather. A young one, to be fair, but he's a grandfather. He is 56 years old, 56-year-old adult man with 3 children, with at least 2 different baby mamas. He's never been married. But he has sort of perpetually been in court dealing with various paternity suits and civil suits as it relates to the instability of his personal life, his personal relationships. Now, before his personal life took a front seat in the press, Shannon Sharpe was primarily known for what he did. He was an NFL all-time leader of receptions in the tight end position. I think his record has since been smashed, but he was drafted into the Hall of Fame in 2011. And that's what's earned him his current platform. He has a contract with ESPN as a sportscaster, as many of these people who leave the NFL do, right? They go either Fox Sports, ESPN Sports, and they provide commentary. Now, before we get further into his particular story here, I'm always very upfront with you guys about my biases. And I'm going to be honest with you, I do not like Shannon Sharpe. I do not think he's a good person. It's personal for me. Okay. Last year being the toughest year on my family in our entire life. And as soon as I got fired from the Daily Wire, there were certain people who I had done nothing to, who I had never spoken about, who were just like dancing on what they perceived was my grave and just spreading lies about me. And Shannon Sharpe was one of these people who basically came out on his podcast right away and just said the Black community should not welcome her back. Like, tried to paint me as this anti-Black person because I'm conservative and I ironically don't support movements like the Me Too movement. I don't know because I'm not a feminist, whatever. And he lied to his audiences and pretended I was trying to pivot to Black media because I had recently been invited before I was fired. I had done some segments. I was on The Breakfast Club with Charlamagne the God. And then Joe Budden invited me on his podcast. And that was it. That was it. But Shannon Sharpe did not miss an opportunity to essentially mock me when I was not in a great state. So here's what Shannon Sharpe had to say about me last year.
Sometimes, and it's happened before, people in our community forget that they're Black. And they try to appease a group of people that's probably never going to embrace them. And once they realize that, guess who's the first group to take them back?
I don't know her.
You know, I ain't say nobody's name, Amanda. You don't even know who I'm talking about.
I don't know.
How you know who I'm talking about? But we've seen this happen before. Rest his soul, O.J. Simpson. You know, he had the famous quote, "I'm O.J., I ain't Black." Even Michael Jackson went through what he went through, rest his soul.
Right.
Even Kanye had to be reminded. And now Miss Owens, who, I don't want no Black pilots. I don't want this. I don't want that. And now we can't keep off our Black media stations. When before she gave us her butt to kiss. Now, if I'm lying, if I'm speaking out of turn, people, y'all correct me. But y'all know I'm telling the truth. Now, you're talking about somebody that's always uplifted this community. And I was one of the first guys that had a viral moment with Cat Williams. And they couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to attack me. But Candace has given y'all her butt to kiss for 2 decades. And the moment, what they doing? They can't fire me. They can't fire me. The hell you say? Now look at her.
Now look at you, Mr. Shannon Sharpe. Ooh, that Candace karma comes quick, right? It really does. Like I said, I did nothing to him. I have no idea what that was about, and nothing he said was true, obviously, and I haven't pivoted any of my conservative positions. But what transpired thereafter is he's kind of been in the public for the wrong reason. So in September of last year, he suffered a really rather embarrassing public moment. You guys probably remember it, where he accidentally went onto Instagram Live and broadcast himself in the middle of having some sexual relations with a woman. I kid you not. I don't know. He said he accidentally pressed the wrong button and the public was able to hear him with a woman. Here's just a couple of headlines about that. Forced to release a statement after ESPN star's Instagram shares a live sex tape. So that was not fun for him. And it really is stemming from that issue. At least that's his allegation, which the current issue arises. He's now in a...
If I'm being honest, some people are very, very messy. And sometimes they know. But you know, fame, viral, I don't know why some people just think that they just can't do without this. It don't even make any sense. Because we remember that live, Instagram live, whatever. And it's not funny. But now he's in another one again. And with text messages that are showing that some people can be very, very freaky.
And it really is stemming from that issue. At least that's his allegation, which the current issue arises. He's now in a very serious predicament because a young woman has come forward and she's alleging that she was raped and she was threatened by Shannon Sharpe during what she is describing as a quote unquote rocky consensual relationship. That term, a rocky consensual relationship. So her attorneys filed the lawsuit on Sunday in Nevada, and she listed herself, or attorneys listed her as Jane Doe. The lawsuit accuses Shannon Sharpe of using physical force on her and inflicting emotional distress on her. And I'll tell you what her story is, okay? Her story is that she was at the gym in Los Angeles back in 2023, pumping some iron. And lo and behold, here comes Shannon Sharpe. They met. Now, to be clear, she says she was just 20 years old, which I hate. I hate that a 56-year-old man is hitting on a 20-year-old at the gym. Again, not illegal, but yes, probably very immoral. I think we can all agree. Like going after young women who are younger than your daughters, it's pretty gross. He would have been 54 at the time. And from there on, the two of them start a relationship. A 2-year sexual relationship followed. Now, she's alleging that the rape element didn't occur until October of last year. And then again, so she got raped in October of 2024. And then again, allegedly this year in January. So obviously, for those of you that are following our Harvey series, that's immediately for me where I pause, because what jumps out is the persistent question that I have in these circumstances, which is what would incentivize any young woman to go back and continue relations with an alleged rapist? I just, again, common sense. Not saying I have a degree in whatever degree you have supposed to have a degree in, but I am saying that sometimes it really just comes down to street smarts and common sense. Actually, most times it does. Anyways, the plaintiff is being represented by attorney Tony Busby. That name sounds familiar to you. He is involved in a lot of big named suits. He's made a name for himself. Most recently, Jay-Z came out and said this guy is a shakedown artist because he was essentially trying to loop Jay-Z in with the Diddy accusers. He's representing a litany of Diddy accusers, and he made an allegation that Jay-Z had done something to a 13-year-old. I never jumped on that. I looked into it, and it sounded to me like the case sounded fraudulent to me. I didn't buy it regarding Jay-Z. But he's been involved again in a lot of these cases. And one of the things that he has done is he's immediately released audio to the public of Shannon Sharpe threatening this young woman. So now she's 22, 23. And I'm going to allow you to take a listen. I'm going to allow you guys to be the judge and jury. And we're going to take a listen to the audio that Busby has decided to release. Take a listen.
Anything I say, you're just going to get mad at, and you're just going to hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not going to hang up on you. Here's what it is.
What does that even mean?
Nothing yet. You want to be a to me now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
I don't know, have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to choke out of you when I see you. Thank you.
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
So you hear that, and you don't have any context, and you're going, okay, well, he definitely did just threaten to choke her, that he was going to choke her, and that she would have no say in the matter. And she says, I don't want to be choked, right? Case closed. Or is it closed? Now, here's what I know. I know that in a typical scenario, if we went onto a time machine and traveled back to yesteryear, we would be very accustomed to these male defendants issuing a very buttoned up statement via their lawyers, denying their fault, maintaining their innocence, but also then moving on to sort of maintain their silence in an effort to allow the courts, some statement like, we look forward to our day in court to work through the details, right? But that's not what Shannon Sharpe and his legal team has opted to do. Like I said, in the wake of Brian Friedman just dropping the messages on lawsuitinfo.com, it seems like now men are fighting fire or perceived fire with fire. And instead, he posted a statement onto his Instagram, which was drafted by his lawyers, and he included text messages from this young woman. And I'm going to show you what that statement reads. Now, I'm not going to read every text message because it's quite graphic, but these are text messages that are coming, that I feel comfortable reading, that are coming from this young woman. It's a statement by lawyer Lanny J. Davis, and the text message reads, I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're bleeping. Okay. Well, that immediately suddenly makes us go, what kind of a relationship was this? You see, it always offends our senses when we hear something like that. And a man, and this is reminiscent to me of when I looked through the Romanian case regarding Andrew Tate. And when you get these out of context messages and you just go, this is awful and this is violent. But then you get another piece of the equation, and now you have this woman saying, I want you to choke me, allegedly. These are messages are being alleged by his lawyer. I would assume the lawyer is not trying to be disbarred, and he has confirmed that these are true messages. We can pull that back up. I'll continue reading the statement. And then suddenly you're going, okay, what kind of a relationship was this? Because she's describing it as consensual. And then he just names her. He's like, this woman's name is Gabriela Zuniga. This is a text message from her to Shannon Sharpe on October 7th, 2023. And then she says to him on a different text message, which is from January of this year, quote, I know you miss this big, juicy AAS. And she ends the message with $25,000 for each cheek. Very expensive cheeks. It's very expensive, very pricey.
Oh, people are freaky, oh. God, I beg you. And people think it is just Diddy that is freaky, freaky. And we are here saying Diddy is freaky, the freak off party and whatever. Meanwhile, the other one, and I'm sure he must have asked lots of questions to say, "Oh, freak off and whatever." And Baba was there, freaking freaky. You people are playing very expensive play, oh, very very expensive play. What is this? What the hell is this? And why is a 50-something-year-old man with a 20-something-year or 20-year? Is that not old enough to be your daughter? Like, seriously, this is not about judging anybody, but it's just the truth. How do you even go down that far? You're almost times two or times three. Yeah, times two now. Times two. It's very small, will be times three of the person's age. So, of all the people that is even close or that are close to your age, you're going to times two or times almost times three. Freaky. Yeah.
And then the lawyer continues in the statement. He writes, this lawsuit filed by Gabriela Zuniga, again, just unmasking her. He's like, forget the Jane Doe stuff. It was filed by this young woman and orchestrated by her attorney, Tony Busby, is a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars. It is filled with lies, distortions, and misrepresentations, and it will not succeed. In her effort to extract a large financial settlement, Ms. Zuniga presented Mr. Sharpe with a secretly recorded video of a consensual sexual encounter. We believe the video has been heavily edited and taken entirely out of context, crafted to falsely portray a consensual act as non-consensual. Ms. Zuniga has refused to provide a copy of the full unedited version of the recording to Mr. Sharpe's legal team. To set the record straight, we are releasing several of Ms. Zuniga's own explicit text messages to Mr. Sharpe that clearly indicate the nature of their relationship was consensual and sexual in nature, and in many cases initiated by her with specific and graphic requests. Contrary to the allegations she makes in her lawsuit, consensual sex continued until January 2nd, 2025, the day after she asked for $25,000 per cheek, as quoted above from her text message to Mr. Sharpe. There are other examples of text from Ms. Zuniga. For example, this one I am not comfortable reading, but basically she's asking for him to put a baby to impregnate her, I guess is the most proper way that I could say that. And it just gets increasingly more graphic about how she wants to have a black baby, his black baby, to be sure. And so they're sharing this, and it, like I said, this is why you have to wait for the full context of it. And it doesn't make like Shannon Sharpe an amazing person. I think he's gross. And I do not understand these sorts of relationships where people are craving violence. Right. But you can imagine if you are with a girl, and I'm not saying this is the circumstance, we'd have to read through everything in its entirety, and she's got these like rape-like violent turn-ons or kinks, and you guys are into this together. And then one day you're set up and she's recording everything and removing it from its context because she knows that the average member of the public is not going to read this as anything other than just violence. Well, then you have somebody who is indeed trying to con you and trying to extort you for money. We don't know, okay? What I can tell you is that in addition to this, Shannon himself posted a public video statement on X, so I'm going to allow you to listen to his response to her lawsuit.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys.
OnlyFans. OnlyFans. Diddy. Diddy will be where he is and be like, eh? So you people are freaky like this, and you people are judging Diddy of being freaky. Eh? You people are judging Diddy of being freaky. When there are other people that are freaky too, like that. They love it like that. My problem here is the fact that sometimes all of these type of activities that are done in the bedroom or done in private, and which is most likely allegedly or supposedly to be consensual for both parties. One party would want to read off meaning and want to take it out of, and maybe some level of obsession or spitefulness or whatever you want to name it, and say they want to seek revenge. But here is where the problem lies with this type of activity. Is for regular people would see this and want to think this is normal, because nothing about this is normal. Nothing. All of these shenanigans is not normal at all. No normal person is doing this. No normal person would be doing this. That is just the truth. Nothing about this is normal. Only fans. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Black baby. Mm-hmm. Mm.
So here's my take. I think it is probably true that he was set up. I think it is probably true that this young woman wanted money. I think it's probably true that she intentionally engaged in this sort of, I don't even know what to call this kind of kink. Is it like bestiality? I don't know what people are into these days. Okay, I've aged out. I should really be referring to myself as a grandma. But I will also say this. These people put themselves into these scenarios, right? And again, over and over again, we are seeing Shannon Sharpe in these sorts of scenarios and continually having to make these sorts of statements so that he can ironically or unironically preserve his job and his reputation. How about just behaving well behind the scenes? How about not being a 56-year-old man that hits on people at the gym to avoid these sorts of circumstances? It's hard to feel bad for him. But of course, in the courtroom, it's not about who you feel bad for or whether or not you think he's a moral man. It is about whether or not you believe that Shannon Sharpe raped this young woman. And with what I've seen in terms of the text messages thus far, I do not believe that it is likely that this was a rape scenario. It does look like a shakedown to me. And that's difficult for me to say as someone who does not appreciate this man whatsoever. But it's now leading to a larger conversation, which is the way that he's fighting this, like fire with fire. I think what we are starting to see is the end of the Me Too movement. I believe that it is going to be a perfect circle. It is going to come back to Harvey Weinstein. They are now moving to pick jurors in his retrial after the appellate judges throughout his case, which I am very excited about because it is something that I've spent a lot of time looking into, and what happened to Harvey Weinstein was wrong. And now we have the Hollywood Reporter acknowledging that, it's looking like the public sentiment is shifting when it comes to the Me Too movement. They've written article after article. They've mentioned us. They've mentioned the show, just getting out to the people and saying, this woman that you thought was a victim, here's some further context that you never saw because the media was irresponsible and didn't show you the other side of the story, or didn't show you her text messages or show you her emails. And it starts out by saying, and we can pull up that article. It's written by Winston Cho. It says Joe Rogan was eating an elk steak while watching the first installment of Candace Owens' latest project aiming to exonerate Harvey Weinstein. When he came to the realization, he agreed with the far-right commentator. I can't believe I'm on Harvey Weinstein's side, he said on a March 22nd podcast. I thought he was guilty of like heinous crimes. And then you listen and you're like, wait, what? What is going on? The episode nodded to the seminal moments in the Me Too era since Weinstein's sex crimes conviction in 2020 that have given critics runway to argue that the movement went too far. It then speaks about Johnny Depp's defamation victory over Amber Heard. It speaks about, obviously, the ongoing Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni saga, and then points to Rogan's takeaway, which is, quote, if this happened in the 80s, it probably would have been thrown out. And it is the reality that over and over again, we are seeing that a lot of these circumstances are about taking businesses, about taking over movies, about trying to get a lot of money from people when they are at their peak in power. And it does need to end. There needs to, in my opinion, be severe consequences for people that bring about lawsuits and are doing it motivated by reasons other than are being expressed to the public, not because they're victims, but perhaps because they want money. And I think that Harvey's lawyer, Arthur Adela, said it correctly when he was asked about this particular case and why it's so important. He said that he's betting that the climate around Me Too is going to play in Harvey Weinstein's favor this time around, or at least not play against him. And he said, quote, people are realizing that the phrase believe women is an anti-American and anti-ends of justice idiotic statement. We shouldn't believe everybody. We should determine, given our common sense, whether they are telling the truth. And I say amen to that. I also want to button it with this, what I mentioned earlier. I know yesterday we were kind of speaking about a lot of the things that moved me, or people were asking the question, what made you move toward the Catholic faith and decide to be baptized Catholic? And I said, I'm not kind of fully ready to tell that story. But when I look at these circumstances of Shannon Sharpe and Harvey Weinstein and the things that they do have in common in these suits that you hear over and over again, it's broken men. It's men that are breaking things that were whole. It's men that, like Harvey Weinstein, who was betraying his wife and would have never been in the predicament that he is still in, had he not have cheated on his wife. And I remember that one of the books, the actual first book that I read on Catholicism, because my husband was leaving it toward my bedside, but it was a moment for me. It was just one sentence, and it was talking about sin. This is written by Robert Barron, and it was speaking about what sin actually is. And it was getting into the etymology of the word, the devil. One sentence, it says, one of the typical biblical names for the devil is ho diabolos, derived from the term diabolin, which means to throw apart. If God is a great gathering force, then sin is a scattering power. Okay, so if when things are holy and things are godly, are things that are being brought together, and when things are intentionally being torn apart and things are scattered, then those things become more sinful. And so when I thought about that, I really, really sat with that for a long time in the context of broken families, everything that we're suddenly trying to break apart, right? Oh no, people don't need to have families. We're talking about ripping babies from their mother's wombs, and every kind of one of these cultural conversations that we're having is always a breakdown. And I think that's why our society has led more and more towards sin, the breakdown of marriages, even now the breakdown of gender, but you don't have to be just a whole gender. You can be binary and you can be floating. I think all of those things lead to more sin. And so while we do need to have a conversation about the court systems and what they're doing and engaging in acts of what I believe are injustice because they pursue social justice, we also need to equally place blame outside of the courtrooms on these men too, and what they could be doing different and how they could lead more lives that are fuller and more whole and therefore less sinful. And that's all I'm going to. Okay, so we have to start with the.
Because, yeah, I agree with Candace Owens on this one. Because if these men had stayed in their house and stayed with their supposed partners, they wouldn't be caught in this mess. And that is just the truth. And even those who stay with their partner too. But again, these ones, you are freaky outside and you expect freaky not to catch you inside. It doesn't even make any damn sense. My only problem here is you people are freaky and Diddy. Everybody want to crucify Diddy. Not like Diddy is a saint, though, but you people want to crucify Diddy for being freaky. When you people are freaky behind closed doors, then say, anyways, they say that the person will be say in own come out first, then go condemn. In English, African proverb says, is the first person who is exposed that will be criticized first. It's just the truth, because these men could as well just stay with their partner and all of this, you'll be satisfied, but you are looking for extra hours outside. But anyways, for me, I want to believe that this may be just a setup, maybe money grab, just like what was said. But obviously, this is becoming too much. Lots of people just see some situation and want to take advantage of it, which doesn't even make any sense. And there should be consequences for people who come out here to make up all of these allegations just because maybe they want to go popular, they want to make money, or they want to whatsoever. It don't make any damn sense, and it's becoming on the rise. But the one that is even surprising is you are dealing with only fans and you are expecting resent. Stop it. Stop it. You are freaky outside. You are dealing with only fans and you are expecting another thing to come out of it. Eh? What are you doing? Brother? 25,000. A whole 25,000. Hey, hey. Let me stop there. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below regarding this. Obviously, lots of people are going to see it in a different light, and pardon me, I'm making light of the situation. But obviously, with situations like this, it's best to just make light of it sometimes, because you don't want to think too much about this, because most likely these men put themselves in this mess or this situation. And it's, I mean, remember, every actions have consequences, obviously. So not like yeah, it's good for both sides. It's not good for the man, it's not good for the woman, but obviously people should learn to respect themselves. Very important emphasis on respect themselves. But the deed is done, the deed is done. But I love your thoughts and your contribution. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.